I recently did a video titled Sir Christopher Lee regarding his ancestry, tracing back to Charlemagne, his military intelligence background, his honorary titles, and knighthood, to point out that these are the types that promote the polytheist history and religion, knights that are sent forth to do beast system work. Many are educated at the Royal Academies, such as the Royal Academy for Actors, and frequently have a title like Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, or Order of whatever Commonwealth nation they are a citizen of, etc. Sir Christopher Lee was Saruman in Lord of the Rings, and I've covered several people associated with Lord of the Rings books, movies that fall into the same category as Sir Christopher Lee, like J.R.R. Tolkien, the author, Sir Peter Jackson, the producer, and Hugo Weaving. But then I wonder just how many people who are associated with the Lord of the Rings series are in this same category. And there are a ton. It's basically most of the people who are in this same category, which I'm going to review in this video. But first, why is the Lord of the Rings so important to these people? I did a video titled Lord of the Rings, based mostly on Lawrence Gardner's book, The Realm of the Ring Lords, which might help explain why the Lord of the Rings is so important to them, because they trace their genealogy to the beings represented in this story. Gardner is a royal genealogist and Freemason. That video got taken off YouTube, but it's on Rumble, and I'll put the Rumble link in the description box, and I have a couple of strikes pending, so I'll probably not have my YouTube channel much longer. But all my videos are on Rumble. Another thing that will help explain why the Lord of the Rings is so important to them is this Harvard research paper that was pushed out to AP a couple of weeks ago, which I covered in my video titled Externalization of the Hierarchy. The study of that paper was called The Crypto-Terrestrial Hypothesis, a Case for Scientific Openness to a Concealed Earthly Explanation for UAP, where the authors, including the director of research at Harvard, suggested that crypto-terrestrials are a possible remnant form of ancient civilization that exists on Earth currently, despite being largely destroyed long ago, possibly by a flood or other natural disaster. So quoting the paper, they're saying the possibility of earth-bound angels, creatures that are perhaps of magical or supernatural origin, like fairies, elves, and nymphs. And how does this apply to UAPs? Probably through orbs that people are seeing, for one, which are spiritual in nature. A lot of times in the movies, these beings appear in orbs, like the fairies in Glinda the Good Witch and The Wizard of Oz. In the paper, they talk about magical crypto-terrestrials, and they say that they are, quote, a class of proposed ultra-terrestrial beings that overlap with angels, traditionally grouped as fairy or long AV, the long livers, fairies, elves, gnomes, brownies, trolls, and the like, whose place of residence is ambiguous between air and earth, with their nature conceived as a third rational species distinct from angels and men. So I would say that most of those beings that they talked about in the Harvard research paper were represented in the Lord of the Rings series. Definitely elven fairies and trolls and the like, hobbits, right? So now let's look at the people involved in the Lord of the Rings and see how they are connected and if they've been honored or knighted. First, let's look at J.R.R. Tolkien, the author. Well, he's Most Excellent Order of the British Empire and the Royal Society of Literature. Now let's look at Sir Peter Jackson. Order of New Zealand, New Zealand Order of Merit, Peter Jackson got a bad spot held for him in the afterlife. Okay, let's look at just this first Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Rings. Let's go down the side here. So we already talked about Peter Jackson. Screenplay, Fran Walsh. New Zealand Order of Merit. Also screenplay is Philippa Boyens. New Zealand Order of Merit. New Zealand being a Commonwealth nation. Already talked about J.R.R. Tolkien. Produced by Barry Osborne, who is New Zealand Order of Merit. Now the cast. And I'm only going to go over those that have letters after their name, but it's at least 50% of the actors, and I'm not going to go into the other details about these people, but I'm sure at least some of those details would be similar to Sir Christopher Lee, who can supposedly trace his ancestry to the Holy Roman Empire, Emperor Charlemagne, and is commander of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, a Knight Bachelor, commander of the Order of the Arts and Letters. So now let's look at some of these other people. Sir Ian Murray McKellen. He is Order of the Companions of Honor of the Commonwealth Realms and Most Excellent Order of the British Empire. And he was also the vampire Kit Marlowe in the Only Lovers Left Alive vampire movie. Viggo Mortensen. Order of Dannebrog, a Danish order of chivalry. This one's interesting. I just want to read about this for a minute. Danish order of chivalry. The White Knights. Blue Knights, Order of the Elephant. This is very high-ranking chivalric order for him. Okay, who else? Cate Blanchett. She is Order of Australia. Let's see, Hugo Weaving. We talked about him before. He is Order of Australia. Mr. Anderson from The Matrix. Let's see who else. Ian Holm. He is Most Excellent Order of the British Empire. What else? Cinematography. Andrew Lesnie. He is Australian Cinematographer Society and American Society of Cinematographers. Let's see what else. Music, Howard Shore. He is Order of Canada. And in the second movie, there's an additional one. It's mostly the same people. But the second movie, The Two Towers. Weird title, considering 9/11. But additionally, you have David Well. And he is somewhere in here. He's, I think, also Order of Australia. So this narrative of The Lord of the Rings, the books and the movie series, and the subsequent video games, it's very important to these people, you see. And isn't it interesting that this same narrative corresponds to the Harvard paper about crypto-terrestrials, and also to Lawrence Gardner's book, The Realm of the Ring Lords. So what's going on here? What do you guys think?